Artie, we're quickly seeing protests spreading to various parts of the country, both in the Western Cape, in Gauteng, in other parts of the country as well. It's election season, isn't it?
Indeed, Michelle, and just this week alone, we've seen protests in Khayelitsha, in Caledon, and where we are in Blackheath, as well as Strand in Lwandle. Now, I'm going to move out of shot because we've just arrived now in Blackheath, where residents have also been staging demonstrations here, trying to build some shacks on this piece of land. At this stage, Michelle, we cannot confirm who this piece of land belongs to. However, you have residents who have been clashing with the police throughout this week in this community as well. It's the same situation here, Michelle, which we've seen play out in various other communities here in the Western Cape. Residents here who we spoke to before just crossing to you, Michelle, were telling us that they want this piece of land for housing, and most of the people in this community have actually not gone to work, and most of the children, of course, also affected and unable to go to school as well. And rubber bullets and tear gas and stun grenades were fired here to obviously disperse the residents who are attempting to build some structures here illegally. And like you said, there is a strong presence of police. I'm going to ask my colleague Zay to show you. There's a number of police officers in Blackheath right now trying to monitor the situation, and law enforcement agencies, law enforcement officers are also here, as well as members of the South African police. And right now you have some members of the community trying to negotiate and trying to speak to the police who are here on the ground to try and ensure that no more further running battles ensue here between the residents and the police that are here on the ground.
So, Artie, as these fresh protests are sparked in Blackheath there, we understand that the protest action in the Strand is also still underway.
That's correct, Michelle. In fact, there, in the wake of more protests, we saw a lot of shops there which were looted overnight. There is a huge liquor store there which residents also looted, and we saw a lot of people walking around last night with bottles of alcohol in their hands, obviously linking that to that particular liquor store which was looted. And we saw police officers also trying to raid and see if there are any more people inside that particular liquor store. And we also saw some of the elderly residents, specifically the men in that community of Strand, trying to ensure that no further looting continues, because it was very much chaotic, Michelle. We literally saw young children running around with groceries, and even old people running around with groceries that they took from some of these shops. And we saw some Somali nationals also camping outside the police station in fear of being hurt, and most of them have actually left Strand and Lwandle, saying that, you know, after their shops were looted and broken into, there is no way they can continue to be in that area.
Artie, we're seeing a lot of criticism, particularly of President Cyril Ramaphosa's visit to Alexandra in Gauteng, with some analysts saying that perhaps this encourages this kind of protest action, often violent protest action, by residents around the country.
Indeed, Michelle, but before I go into that, I'm going to ask my colleague Zaid if he can pan and show you where the residents are, because there's basically a standoff right now between the police and the residents who are standing there and deliberating their next move, and who've been actually retaliating by hurling stones at the police, and police obviously firing at them. The residents are basically saying one thing in all these communities, Michelle, that they will not be voting come the 8th of May. They're saying that so many of the services that they are in need of have not been rendered to by provincial, local and even national government, and so they are adamant that come the 8th of May they will not be voting and not be making their mark on those ballots.
Right, often this is the pattern that we see as we build up to elections, no different this time around. My colleague Artie Mtongana live to us there in Blackheath in the Western Cape.